happening. We want to bring back a retired Naval Intelligence Commander, Dr. Paul Chabot, joining us now via Zoom. Dr. Chabot, good to see you as always.
No, my pleasure. Good to be with you.
So, like I was saying, kind of a lot of back and forth this week. Give us your reaction when you heard the fact that talks were going to start up again, it sounds like.
Yeah, it really is, whiplash for all of us. And so even as we're speaking, I just pulled a new message off just minutes ago from the Iranian news agency, because what we heard earlier today was that the White House was going to send out Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, which is our special envoy, to go to Pakistan again with Islamabad. What's interesting is we did not hear that Vice President was going to attend this time. And we also heard is that the White House press secretary earlier today said that this was largely because Iran was reaching out. However, the Iranian news agency just put out a sentence saying Arghachi, who is basically their foreign minister, visit to Islamabad is not for negotiations with the Americans, but rather he will discuss with the Pakistani side Iran's considerations regarding the end of the war. So I think that's an interesting comment, although it does show the diplomatic nature. And I'd love to tell you a little bit about Arghachi in a minute, because I think he plays an important role going forward.
Yeah, please do, because because that's such an important note to mention here. It is interesting the way that they're phrasing that, Dr. Chabot, because in a way, it sounds a little like semantics there in terms of just how each side is framing this.
It is. And look, I think Pakistan, which is here in the middle, both our country and Iran are using Pakistan as this middle ground through Islamabad to not only communicate, but to meet in person. But when you look at the Iran's, foreign minister, who is this guy? Abbas Arghachi. He's a 30-year career diplomat. So he's not from the Guard, the military hardliners. He's got a PhD from the United Kingdom. He was the ambassador before to Japan and Finland. And he played a very important role in the nuclear negotiations back in 2015. So politically, he's not wearing a military uniform. He's a civilian, 30-year diplomat, works for their president, but really responds to the Ayatollah, the supreme leader. And so having his presence involved is critical in these negotiations. But remember, he was also present at the negotiations 2 weeks ago. So getting our hopes up would be a little premature.
Absolutely, because those talks went 21 hours. At the end of the day, nothing came out of them. And certainly, again, just with this whiplash going on, it's really hard to predict anything that's going to come out of this. I think it's a good sign in a way that President Trump extended the ceasefire, even though he was saying he was waiting for what he called a unified proposal from Iran at that point.
Yeah, that unified proposal is really a strong talking point here going forward, because I feel that the Americans on our side felt that we had 21 hours of negotiations. Nothing really came of it solid. And really going back to the drawing board of who's in charge in Iran. Their Ayatollah, their supreme leader. We killed the father a number of weeks ago. The son has assumed that role. The son has not been seen publicly. We've seen more of their Revolutionary Guard leadership, military hierarchy doing a lot of the speaking. But now to see on the front line Abbas Araghchi, their foreign minister, talking about meeting is important. But at the same time, remember, the Navy blockade is still in place. And for the first time, in decades, we have 3 aircraft carriers together in a region in the Middle East. A lot of firepower, a lot of military assets to bring to bear.
And just such important discussions coming up here as well. And I hate to ask you this because making predictions is difficult at this point.
Yeah.
But what do you think we could see in the next hours and days ahead?
So I think we will be hearing some talking points coming out of Pakistan. The question is that we all want to watch is, does Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff literally get on a plane and go? If they are on a plane and going, then that is a great sign. What we saw last week when the talks basically collapsed, there was no plane going forward. Everything collapsed. So certainly having their foreign minister of Iran go to Pakistan is great, but more important, let's watch and see if our special envoy gets on the tarmac. There we can begin to have some discussions. And I would also say mine clearing is a critical aspect right now. U.S. military said it'll take about 6 months to clear the mines. And Trump did order today for the U.S. military to destroy any Iranian ship in the strait that is laying mines. Though that mine laying is a cornerstone of blocking down the Strait of Hormuz. However, there's been no reporting of sightseeing of actual mines, at least to the open press.
And Dr. Chabot, it seems like you read my mind there, because I was actually going to bring that up. And certainly the Strait of Hormuz, we know, is such a key sticking point as we try to find an end to this war. And obviously making it passable, which the mines that are there don't.
Yeah, the Strait of Hormuz, it's one of many choke points across the country. Nobody owns that waterway. It's about 21 miles north to south from Iran down to Saudi Arabia. It is always considered international waters. So Iran has no ownership over any of those waterways. Within 21 miles, you've only got about a 2 to 4 mile radius where the ships can go. And based on that trajectory, it's a very dangerous place. Our blockade for the U.S., we're not inside the Strait of Hormuz. If you're looking at a map, we're basically off to the right, well into deep water to protect our ships, but also watching what's coming and going to Iran to provide that blockade and keep that in place.
Retired Naval Intelligence Commander Dr. Paul Chabot, we really appreciate you taking the time and joining us today, helping break down what is truly a complicated war.
My pleasure. Thanks, Aaron.